I'm so excited to be here with you tonight. We've got an amazing, amazing topic for Love Chat with the Love Twins. If you have been feeling stuck, if you have been feeling like, what the heck, why does it feel like it's so hard for me to find love? If you've been waiting to be chosen, good news. You don't have to wait to be chosen because you are the chooser. So today is here in the United States. For those of you who are from other countries, I'm sure you have heard that it is election day. And so we're talking about voting for love. And here's why we chose that topic. Because as we're talking to, we've been doing a lot of events. We've had the Highly Driven and Deeply Loved Summit. We had the masterclass for dating like a CEO. We just had this past weekend the Extraordinary Love Now masterclass. And one of the things that we keep hearing from strong, decisive, highly driven women is, why is it that it's so that I can create these results in other areas of my life, but when it comes to love and relationships, it feels like it's just a little harder? And one of the things that I tell women, especially women who are in some form of leadership, whether you're a CEO, you're one of the managers, directors, vice presidents, presidents in your company, if you've got leadership positions in your place of worship or in your community, is that if you're feeling like it's a little bit harder, if your experience is that it's a little bit harder or a little bit challenging to easily attract the right person, I'll tell you, it doesn't have to be, but you're not alone. You're not imagining things. There are some very specific challenges that women who are in positions of leadership and power experience. And it's usually comes because we're trying to do the same things in our love lives that are making us really, really successful in our business lives. And so as we dive into today's topic, and we're talking about really choosing love, who I'm speaking to, right? I'm speaking to you if one of the things that you bump up against, right, is that there's a doubt about whether or not it can happen, if it can happen quickly. I was speaking to somebody. She's like, yeah, I know it can happen, but at least 2 years. I'm like, well, not necessarily. It doesn't have to be well, I've got to date him. Yes, you can date him, but you don't have to date him for a year to decide whether or not he's the one. We just had somebody get married this past weekend. Congratulations, Rosalind. You saw her last week. If you haven't watched last week's Love Chat, make sure you catch that after tonight's Love Chat. And she was sharing her story, and it was a painful story at the beginning because she was in a situationship and she was really wondering, like, here, she's a woman who leader inside of the military, leader inside of the medical profession in the military, and was still not attracting the right man and was settling for less. And so sometimes those doubts that sound like reasonable reasons, right? They sound like logical reasons. It's just it's just a doubt about not whether it can happen, whether it can happen for you, and whether it's going to be hard or easy. So we're going to talk about overcoming some of those doubts that may come up for you, and also really choosing to, whenever a woman is settling, underneath it, and I know strong women don't like to hear about fears. I was actually speaking to somebody right now, and like, I've actually had women argue with me, no, it's not a fear. And I'm like, okay, you can call it a concern or you can call it a challenge. But if you're afraid that you're asking for too much to have all of this love and all of this happiness, and also have success in your career, success in your finances, then it's just a shadow of a doubt. You know how they talk about in the court of law, and beyond a reasonable doubt, there's just a shadow of a doubt that it could happen for you. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about really living your life in alignment so that your thoughts, your words, and your actions they're a mirror of what you're saying that you want. And then also the power of intention. So the power of intention is probably where we should start. But when you're setting a powerful intention, it's more than just saying, I want to be in a relationship. I want to be in a happy, loving relationship that lasts for a lifetime. I want a marriage and a family. Those are declarations, but the intention is the energy that's behind it. So if your energy is one of like, I got to do it fast because I'm going to run out of time, because then that's an energy of fear. It's not an energy of faith. It's not an energy of belief, of what I call certainty. It's that, oh my God, if it doesn't happen now, it's not going to happen. Or there's like frenetic energy behind it, which is not appealing energy. It's very repulsive energy. So we're going to talk about all of that. And before I do that, I want to go out over here and jump on Facebook just to see who is here with me today. So just give me a few seconds to do that. I have to mute myself so you don't hear me talking twice. There we go. One day I'm going to get that to happen faster. I always have to mute myself. But hello to everyone out there in Facebook. Go ahead and say hello if you're there. And then also remember that you can ask questions. Hey, Patrice, make sure, if you've got a question about something that I'm talking about, drop it in there. I look over, when I look over here, I'm looking at my comments just to make sure that if there's a question in the space that I can get to it. I like to get them early on. so that I'm not trying to answer them all at the end. But let's talk a little bit about what are some of the challenges. So the first one, right, is when you're questioning. And this doesn't mean that you're questioning that you're worthy of it. Some people do, right? Some people question whether they're worthy of it, but that's not the question. Most women are like, I know I deserve this. I know that it's what I really want. So they're not questioning their desire. They're not questioning their worthiness most of the time. What they're questioning is whether or not it can happen for them. Now, your brain may be rejecting that, like, I know it can happen for me, but just listen to what comes up when I say it can happen for you. It doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to take long. What just popped into your head? Did something like, but I've been doing the things, but it's not like I'm just sitting by. I know successful women don't just sit by, twiddle our thumbs, right? We're not just waiting for the next thing to land on our plates, because there's nothing on our plate. We usually have 7 plates spinning all at the same time, but there's something. And so a lot of times there is that doubt that it can happen for me, that it can be easy, that it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be a struggle. I don't have to kiss a bunch of frogs, all of those analogies that people use, and that it doesn't have to take a long time. Now, I'm not saying, when I say that you don't have to kiss a lot of frogs, I'm not saying that you may not date a lot of guys. Maybe you'll meet 10 before you meet the one. I'm saying they don't have to be frogs, right? So they could be really great men of high character, men of high caliber, men who are sure about what they want. And then you may have 5 really great prospects, right? 5 great prospects. And then as you get to know them, then that's when you're going to find out if your values align. If the vision that you have for the kind of love, the kind of relationship, the kind of life that you want to create with your future partner, does that match up? And not because you're so much asking about it, that he's sharing it. And that when you're having conversations with each other, you're both going like, wow, that's what I want too. Like that's amazing. Tell me more about that. What do you, maybe he says, I have kids, but I'd be open to having, if I meet the right person. We hear that all the time from our clients, especially, women who do want to have children and they want to have a family, and the person already has children. That brings up a whole bunch of fears, right? Like there's another baby mama, and, but it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be painful. The other day, I'm looking behind me because I was doing a masterclass, and I was talking about when your love formula, or the sentence that you have about love, in other words, is love is hard, love takes long, love and relationships they take a lot of work. They do take some work, but when you're doing work that you love, like right now, if you're in the career that you love, in the position that you love, there's work to do. But like today, I was like, how in the world What is it already 4:30? I said that at 4:30. How in the world is it already 4:30? Like today went by like this because I was doing stuff I love. Was it easy work? I don't know. Somebody else might think it wasn't, but for me, the time just went by so quickly because I was doing work that matches my vision, matches my values, working with people that I want to work with, interviewing people that I want to work with. That's been my day today. So when you're talking about the fears and the doubts, right? If you don't want to call it fears, the doubts, the second guessing of yourself and your ability to create and to create it fast, listen to the thoughts that are coming up, because those are the same thoughts that are coming up when you're meeting somebody, when you're chatting with somebody online, when you're sitting across from someone and they say or do something, and automatically for you, you've interpreted that as a red flag. And that's it. This person is not it. When maybe they're sharing something that happened in the past. It's not even something that's happening. Like I'm not 100% on this. I'm not perfect and I don't do this 100% of the time. But when somebody does something that either hurts me or irritates me or frustrates me, I tell myself, this is something I literally say to myself, even with my kids, my husband, my team, perfect strangers. I'm going to grant the same level of grace that I would like granted to me, right? I'm grateful that people do not judge me by my past, right? That who I am being in the present speaks so loudly, they sometimes aren't even interested in hearing who I was in the past, because who I was in the past wasn't always the woman I am today. So people do change. So you want to have enough certainty, enough trust in yourself that if somebody says or does something, you're not running for the closest exit, that you grant yourself the opportunity to get to know the person. It's just dinner. It's just maybe a second dinner or another cup of coffee, and then you get to decide, right? But if you already have it that it's going to be hard, that somebody the other day finished the love, this was during might have been during the date like a CEO masterclass or the Extraordinary Love Now masterclass that I did on Saturday, where the person was like, I think it was Saturday, where she felt like her love formula was, love equals that they're going to leave me. Well, if love equal or yeah, love equals that they're going to leave me, and so if love equals that they're going to leave me, I'm already preparing myself for being left. Number one, if love equals that they're going to leave me for someone else, I said, what must automatically be on the other side of that equal sign? If somebody always leaves for somebody else, then what always has to be part of a relationship? Somebody else. If love equals hard, what always is going to be in the relationship? Struggle, drama, pain, sadness, sorrow, frustration. So when you're listening to the thoughts that come up for you, when I say it can happen for you, it doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to take long. I'm inviting you to really pay attention to what are the automatic responses to that, because that's going to shine a light on what's showing up. What's showing up in your love life? Are you attracting men who are a representation of that doubt or that fear or that challenge? Or are you attracting men who are not? Right? Your results are great feedback for what some of those thoughts are. Now, the great thing about thoughts is if you made up one that's disempowering, you can also make up one that's empowering, but we've got to get underneath what caused the creation of the disempowering thought. You're so much more powerful than you believe that you are, right? So much more powerful. So let's see, wasting time with the wrong people is what's hard, 100%. And just in the past week, probably because we had the summit and everything, the number one thing that I have heard both from clients, non-clients, perfect strangers is, I don't want to waste my time. And I'm like, well, how pervasive is that thought? Because think about it. Your brain cannot distinguish between the truth and what you fear. It just can't. It's impossible. It's not just your brain. It's my brain. It's the brain, right? The brain, it's impossible for the brain to tell the difference between what you're imagining and what's actually happening. What you imagine is going to happen, especially if you think it's hard, you're going to waste time. I'm serious. I'm not exaggerating when I say 5 people used the sentence, I don't want to waste my time. 5 different women. I don't know if they're talking to each other. but they were talking to me that was one of their biggest concerns. Well, if I'm always focusing on, I don't want to waste time, I'm either going to be rushing into things, right? Rushing into a relationship, getting emotionally attached very soon, or let's go to the opposite of that spectrum. I'm going to leave before you leave me. And that's what the lady and I were talking about that I was asking. She's like, I leave them before they leave me. Well, you're already preparing to be left. At some point, there's some leaving. Leave is in your love formula. So we've got to get underneath that, right? We've got to do the work to heal whatever it is that created that belief. And I was able to do some of the work with her on camera on Saturday. But if you have either daily, I'm going to leave you before you leave me, leave is part of your love formula. And then you're telling me you want a lifelong partner. We're talking about two diametrically opposed statements, which is why you get blurry, right? You get confusing results, or maybe people who start off strong and then they fizzle out. But if you're so afraid that you're going to waste time, that you're leaving early, that is a fear-driven or a doubt-driven response. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the doubt. So just pay attention to your thoughts. Don't wrap yourself in them, but you do want to have some awareness, because so much of this is at the subconscious level. That's why I say, listen to me ask the question again, and don't filter it. It can happen for you. It doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to take long, which means it can be easy and it can happen quickly. What do you hear when I say that? It can happen to you easily. For you, easily and quickly. You can be in the relationship of your dreams easily and quickly. What are your first thoughts? It's important to pay attention to them. Whether you're here live or you're watching on replay, put it in the chat. Because when you hear those thoughts, then we can get underneath, okay, what is driving them? Because that's what's having you question yourself. If you're questioning, I don't want to waste my time, you're thinking, I'm going to waste my time. What am I basing that on? On the past. In the past, I've wasted my time. Maybe I've stayed with someone longer than I really, I stayed with them longer than I knew that it already wasn't the right fit. Or I stayed with them, I ignored some red flags, I didn't pay attention. Or I put dating on pause, on hold for longer than I thought I would. And now I'm afraid to get started. But there is something, trust me when I say there is something, right? I can't wait. It's coming. It absolutely is coming. It absolutely is coming. Right. And you're taking, Teresa, you're taking committed action. Like I see the actions that you're taking. You're not just passively like waiting, right? Waiting for it to happen. You're in committed action. You're taking actions that are aligned with what you say that you want. That is an accelerator. That's an accelerator, but it's not just about the actions. It's the energy behind the actions. That's what we mean by intention. So if my intention is to create partnership, is to create like real connection. So for there to be real connection, there has to be trust. So already, if I don't trust people, I don't trust men, I don't think they're who they say they are, I'm already like not allowing, pretend that these are two magnets. I'm just not allowing them to link. Because in order to create real connection instead of a loving relationship, instead of any relationship, but let's just keep it to romance, right? In order to have that true gut level, soul level kind of connection with someone, I must trust them. And they must trust me. And I must be trustworthy. Like trust has to be all over the place. But if I don't trust, then what am I going to be? I'm going to be guarded. I'm going to hold back. I'm going to let you see the parts of me. Obviously, I'm not talking about the first date. You're not going to like divulge your whole life and heart to somebody that you don't even know if you want to have a second cup of coffee with. But even on that date, answer the questions authentically. If something gets asked that you're not comfortable talking about, then you could say, you know what, this is our first date and I'm just getting to know you. That's a conversation I would not mind having once I know you a little better. A woman who speaks with a level of clarity, it's almost like, whoa, well, that's refreshing, right? For the man. So when you're wanting deep connection, intimacy, it requires vulnerability. It requires the willingness, right, to allow somebody to see you and get to know you it's gonna require bringing down the wall. You can't be guarded and connected at the same time. You can't be, you know, on guard, right, with defenses up and connected at the same time. So what does that look like on a first date? It just, like I said, just answering the questions as authentically, genuinely as you can, so that the person really gets a sense of who you are. Now, if you feel like you have to be like blunt and direct and like that, that's going to land a certain way. It's not the most feminine energy in the world, but you could be truthful and feminine at the same time. You could be authentic and also reserve the things that are a little bit more personal for when we get to know each other better. So you're telling him, it's not that you're holding it back. It's just, I just don't feel comfortable talking about that on the first date. I'm happy, once we get to know each other and once we get to know each other a little better and we've established more of a connection, I'm happy to have that conversation. It's not sarcastic, it's not blunt, and it's clear, right? So if you're second guessing, doubting yourself, wondering if it's going to happen for you, then that will translate to the energy that comes on the date with you. So we want you to date safely. We want you to date smartly. That's why we always say be alert, awake, and aware, not alert and on guard. Right? You don't have to have the red alert button all the time. Everything that, I'm going to say this because it just popped into my head and I had not planned to talk about it. Everything that frightens you is not a red flag. Everything that frightens you is not a red flag, because sometimes even good things frighten you, right? It's too good to be true. Oh my gosh, what if I fall for him? And then it doesn't work. So not everything that frightens you is a red flag. How do you know the difference? You've got to get to know the person. Is it a persistent pattern? Is there constant evidence? And not like you're sitting there waiting for the next piece of evidence, waiting for the person to mess up, but in the course of a natural conversation, the course of, sharing and getting to know each other, are there things that keep happening? Does the person consistently say one thing and do another? That would be something that I would say, okay, let's pay attention to that. You're getting some good information. 3 times a date has been canceled because of some sort of emergency, or you've been talking online for 3 months and there's always a reason why you can't meet in person. I'm not calling the other person a liar. Is this where you want to invest your time? Oh, but I've already gotten attached. Okay, so how many other people are you dating and talking to? Because when one person isn't calling, somebody else is. And if somebody isn't making an effort to meet you, somebody else will. You get to decide that. That's all intention. My intention is to be open, to be receptive, to be authentic, to create real connection. That is a powerful intention. And it must align with my actions. So the thoughts, the words, and the actions align with that energy. You are going to be, I promise you, you're going to be attracting what's aligned with that intention, what's aligned with your vision, your values, and your intention. I promise you, because when your mind and your words and your heart, your being are all in alignment, and your energy is such that it creates the space for your thoughts, your words, and your being to be in alignment with your dreams, I promise you, it's inevitable that you're going to attract somebody who is attracted to that. It's when we say one thing and we do another, or we say we're committed to real love and we settle in some way, shape, or form, or we say, yes, I'm open, I'm receptive, and we keep hooking on to one person instead of allowing ourselves to date and get to know somebody else. That's when you start to see, it's almost, remember, I'm dating myself, but it is what it is. When we used to have the old TVs, right, and the signal would go out and all of a sudden you would see the picture, but it was like doing this on the screen, right? It would go diagonal, or it would actually, like, one side of the screen would go this way, the top of the screen would go this way, and the bottom would go that way. It just wasn't aligned. Now you would, if you were me, you would slam the TV, slam the TV on the side, or, jiggle the antenna, and all of a sudden it would go, right? And now you could see what was in front of you. You could hear correctly. It wasn't sounding all garbled and jumbled. There's alignment. So it's the same thing. When our thoughts, our words, and our being match, the declarations that we're making, meaning the love vision, and the energy that we are being, means we're radiating it, then what comes to you are the people, the opportunities, the coincidences that are aligned with that. And that really truly is what makes it not be hard. So as you're choosing love today on this election day, like choose your vision, choose to be that woman whose mind, whose thoughts and words and actions are aligned with the woman that you envision in the relationship of your dreams. If your relationship of your dreams includes love, authenticity, connection, fun, adventure, be that woman in everyday, ordinary circumstances. Yes, when you're dating, yes, when you're on the apps, yes, when the phone calls, but also at work, with your family, with your friends. Just be loving and fun and adventurous and generous and connected, because then it comes easily. When you're being that everywhere you are with whoever you are, you don't have to turn it on when you're dating. It's just who you are being. So you get to choose you. You get to choose your dreams. You don't ever have to settle for less than what you want. And you get to really, one of the things that I really want you to get is, I know that it's something, it can feel like when you're dating a lot of people, and because we tell women to be in their feminine and not be chasing the men, you could, what's the word? I don't want to, it's not trick. You could deceive yourself, right? Into thinking that you're waiting to be chosen. But you are the chooser all along. You choose your words, you choose your actions, you choose your ways of being. You choose what you accept and what you tolerate. You choose to focus on the energy that you bring into every conversation. You are the chooser. And then you also get to choose who you will spend your time with and who you won't. If you want more support, if you want, like when I'm talking about, it gets to happen for you, it gets to be easy, and it gets to not take a long time. Michelle and I were always looking to how can we teach this in the least amount of time, the most condensed amount of time, with the most value, and answering the majority of your questions and making sure that you are set up for success. That is our commitment, that we are everything that we do. This love chat, our master classes, our challenges, and our 3-day events, including the Irresistible Woman Live, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks, right? A couple of weeks from this Friday. The reason how we design those 3 days is, what is the most important information for you to have? What are the biggest breakthroughs that we can create in just 3 days that will have the most lasting impact, so that you are set up from the moment that you leave that event on Sunday? You are set up to start, and sometimes before, because women have met the men that they ended up marrying while they were at the Irresistible Woman Live. I know 3 names pop into my head. They went on dates during the event. They're not with those men, right? So one of them's married. A couple of them are in committed relationships. But that is our intention, is that you come to that event and you give us 3 days. And in those 3 days, you open your heart, you open your mind, you're intentional, you are committed, and you are willing to break through whatever's been in the space, and you will leave that event with the clarity, with the steps to take, and with a real, not an imagined, right? Where of course we're envisioning, but a real chance at creating the relationship of your dreams easily and quickly. So if you want that, if you know somebody in your life who wants that, go ahead and click on the link that we're dropping in. I think it was already dropped. It should have, because I mentioned it. You want to go to attractyourlovenow.com, attractyourlovenow.com. We still have a special price for this event. So we want to make sure that you grab it now. There's also additional bundles, including bringing someone with bonuses. I mean, it's a bundle. We never just give you a ticket and that's it. I know a lot of people do that. We don't, because we want you to have things that you can use before, during, and after the event. And that includes the meditation, the love manifestation meditation is an amazing, amazing meditation. If you want to already start tonight, breaking through some of those subconscious barriers, that is one of our by far most requested meditations. You also get a call before the 3-day event so we can start accelerating your results. We actually do some of the work together that we're going to do in the 3 days, so that you're breaking through your love barriers, your fears, doubts, limiting beliefs, your dysfunctional patterns. And then we're also setting you up for how to make the most of those 3 days. So you get that, you get the ticket, you get that call, you get a recording of the Extraordinary Love Extraordinary Love Now Masterclass that I did this last Saturday, and you get the meditation. Plus, you get to bring a woman who's as committed as you are to creating the real love that she wants in her life. You bring her as your plus one to this event. We send you a special form that you can send her, and now both of you are hearing the same thing, learning the same things, and then after the event, practicing the same things so that you're both on the path to attracting and creating the beautiful, loving, passionate, intimate, connected relationship that you dream of. And celebrating that with somebody who's also getting those results is, trust me, I'm a twin. It's double the fun. It's double the pleasure, double the fun. Okay. So make sure you go to attractyourlovenow.com, grab your bonuses and your ticket, and get ready for 3 incredible days where the only focus is making sure that you are set up to have the love that you want easily, quickly, and so that you can be living in that relationship for the rest of your life. So if for the rest of your life is too hard for you to imagine right now, that's just one of the doubts we'll eliminate during the 3 days. Just imagine finally meeting the person that when he's standing in front of you and you're standing in front of him, you're like, this is everything that I ever dreamed of and more. So go to attractyourlovenow.com, grab your bundle, and we can't wait to see you there. I mean, Michelle, everything, all our team is talking about is the Irresistible Woman Live. It is our biggest and best event of the year. We only do it once. So if your brain already said, oh, go to the next one. It's November 22nd through the 24th. Make time to be there. Make time to be there because we're talking about 3 days so you can have the rest of your life look exactly the way that you want it to with the partner that you've always dreamed of. I can't think of anything else that offers that kind of ROI. It's a beautiful investment of your time. And right now it's only $57. So it's not going to break the bank, but it is going to break those old patterns, those limiting beliefs, and the fears that have been stopping you until now. All right. So go to attractyourlovenow.com. Thank you for being here. If you're watching this on replay, put hashtag replay. What's your biggest takeaway? Go ahead and put that in the chat. What are you walking away with today that's going to make a real difference in your life, that you commit to putting it into practice in your life so that you can start being on the path to the real love you want right now? If you clicked on the link or you went to attractyourlovenow.com, you already took the first step. So tell me the second one. All right. All right, ladies, have a beautiful, beautiful evening. Thanks for your time and attention. And until our hearts meet again, always remember that you are loved. Bye for now.